Chicago, rock and roll, Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock the city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best year out around.
Hey, this is Paul Martin
and Ray the Roadie
for the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. How are you, Ray? Hey, we're back, people. We're back.
We're back. We're on a little bit of a hiatus. Welcome to 2022.
Yes, indeed. So how you been, Ray?
I've been good. I've been good. I haven't seen you in a while. It's
you surviving the weather, the cold weather.
Yeah. Right now it's cold and snowy, but I should be in Florida doing this.
We all should be in Florida.
That's
true. And it'd be overcrowding.
That's true. But I heard right now people are freaking out that live down there because it's going to be like 56 degrees and they're freaking.
Yeah.
We haven't seen 50 around here for months.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the way it is. You get used to one thing and you're stuck with it.
That's right. And then they get thin blood down there.
So who are we talking to today now? Who have we got first on our list here of
2022?
2022.
Well, we actually have a accomplished author.
An author? This was Rock and Roll podcast.
Yeah, well, he's also a rock and roller, but he's an author. It's Billy McCarthy. He's the drummer of the DMolls, as well as a plethora of other bands. And he's also the author of a couple of books, the newest being Beat Me Till I'm Famous.
Yes, it's a great book about the music business, about his life in the malls and playing and moving from Chicago, Calumet Park in particular, Illinois, to LA and Hollywood, and the lifestyle in Hollywood and the cutthroat business of the music business back in the 80s.
That's
and
right.
It's a great book, and I recommend everybody get out and order it right off of Amazon. Beat Me Till I'm Famous by Billy McCarthy. He's also got another book out there that I'm going to have to pick up and read soon.
Called a fictional novel.
Yes, it's a fictional novel. It's called The Devil of Shakespeare, but which I don't think it has anything to do with Shakespeare, but
might have something to do with the devil, though.
It might, yes.
One or the other.
But he talked about it, and so let's get to it and talk to Billy, see what Billy had to say, and see what's up with him and how he's doing nowadays. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Today we're speaking with Billy McCarthy, who is a drummer, author, producer,
painter,
actor, yeah,
painter,
and pretty darn good golfer too. How you doing today, Billy?
Hey, good to see you guys. I'm doing great. It's really good to be on this show because I zoomed around a little bit online and it's got some good stuff going on. Good to see you again, Paul. Last time we saw each other at the golf outing, the M&R golf outing.
Yeah.
And I think Ray the Roadie, were you there, Ray?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ray helps out with a lot of stuff. Let's jump right into well, I guess we start with we'll start with the DMolls, right? Or you're drumming. You started drumming in Cal Park in the early 80s, right?
No,
Late
actually, yeah. I started drumming in 77. I was like a junior in high school. I started really late, and I was into sports and everything, and Chip's enough and we lived across the street from each other. So we were on the same baseball teams. We were on, we did pretty well in sports and baseball particularly. So, we grew up in Calumet Park. It was a very sports oriented kind of town, small town. I always wanted a drum set, and I knew if I got one, my dad would come home and be like, "What the hell is this? What's going on?" So as I wrote in the book, they went on a trip, and I had been working because I always worked since I was like 8 years old. I was delivering papers and doing whatever. And I had a pretty good job when I was like 16. So I just got this drum set, man. And, Dad came home and Mom from Iowa, and they freaked out. And next thing you know, I was playing drums. And I remember I would sit in a room and I would just play. And I sat down instantly. And it took me like a week or two, and I got Head Knocker by Foreigner. I nailed that one, with the headphones on. And then I just, quickly, boom, I went to Come On, The Treats. It was a band called The Treats, which is really exciting because you guys, M&R Rush, gave us our first break.
Right.
I was in this band, we were doing covers. We had about 10 songs. We used to put the needle on in the record player, and then you'd go in the other room and you go, okay, I think we got it. Let's go. Let's do it. We were doing like Cheap Trick, Foreigner, Montrose, all the stuff that we, and then we never did Rush. That's one thing to our credit. And then I remember seeing you guys when I was like 16 or 17 years old.
I grew up right next door. I mean, right down the street, really, in Roseland, West Pullman.
Where at? In West Pullman?
In West Pullman, yeah. I lived right by West Pullman Park. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God, yeah. Well, this is in Calumet Park where I'm playing drums. Because I left West Pullman when I was 12, and that was in 72. I'm giving away my age. But, West Pullman Park was it was unbelievable. So that's where I didn't know that you were from West Pullman. Wow. So I went to St. Catherine and Genoa and whatnot, and I talk about that in the book. But when I got to Calumet Park, my life really changed. It was kind of strange. It was a nice town. It's a very small town. It was like the Brady Bunch town. Everybody knew each other. And so then I started playing the drums, and I remember seeing you guys, M&R Rush. It was like one of the first bands that I actually saw on the South Side. I think you guys were playing some card thing outside. It was really weird. But I saw those blue sparkle drums. I saw Marty chewing his bubble gum. And I was like, and the band was so big.
He's still chewing that same gum today.
Yeah, he still is, right? So, because I remember at the time, I saw Hartsfield when I was 13, J.C. Hartsfield. Right. And Artie Bonacci was, a good friend of mine. He was going out with their sisters. So I saw Hartsfield, and I was like, wow, this is cool. I don't know. Why do I dig the drummer? You know what I'm saying? And Artie was great. And then I saw Marty, and I was like, okay, this is like really inspiring. I think I can do this, And it wasn't until, we did a bunch of shit gigs, like we played in backyards and stuff like that, and garages, and, all that stuff is covered in the book. But when we got to Argo High School and opened up for you guys, that's basically when, we were so excited to open up for M&R Rush that we went downstairs, after we got done. We're like, okay, that was a great set. Let's go to the front row now and watch M&R Rush, So we go down there, we run down there, and we're just sitting there waiting for you guys to come on. I don't even think we said hi to you guys because you scared the shit out of us, because it was like, we sat in the front row, and God and behold, these like 3 foxy chicks come up, 4 or 5, want our autograph. We're like, what the hell is this? We're the same age as you. Why would you want our autograph? And that's when the light bulb went off. Hey, this is cool, man. Drums equals chicks equals who knows what. Yeah, that's how it really. Well,
I lived right down the street from Marty Baldacci. I lived about a half a block from him. He lived on the corner. I lived in the middle of the block. Where'd you see them? At the Cal Park Rec Center?
I don't even remember. It was somewhere. It was small. It was a very intimate kind of thing, because the guy that Dave Garland, my friend at the time, his sister Debbie was going out with Artie, and then their cousin was going out with my sister, and so it was a whole, hey, you want to come to this gig? And so then, in between after that, it was like just a club thing, and looking at flyers, man, the other day, like just this is stuff that's coming up on like Facebook, and like you see, Jesus Christ, everybody, I mean, you guys were amazing. You guys went out like 30 times a month or 20 times a month, at least 20 times a month.
Yeah.
And, we went out, I evolved from the Treats. It was called the Treats. It was our first gig with you guys. Then we called ourselves Come On, Come On, because we were just so obsessed with Cheap Trick. And, that song, Come On, Come On.
Yeah.
And then, it just evolved, but then I got to play with Kevin Lee and Harpy, which was a really, really big band in the city in the north side of Chicago, and that really like taught me the ropes as far as recording goes. And then I split town, man, when I was 21. Went to LA, never been on a plane before. Just got called for a band called Kid Rocker. This is before DMolls. This is in '81. And Kid Rocker, man, was just like, it was a great pop band, and I mean, we were managed by Bill O'Coin, who discovered Kiss and Billy Idol, and we had the world, we were playing the Whiskey a Go-Go. Nikki Sixx was living downstairs. Lita Ford would come over with him and borrow some tinfoil, and it was just like, it was a trip. We all lived in the same building. I lived in a building with Motley Crue, and they were broke, So Tommy was there, and Vince and Nikki all lived in a two-bedroom. Yeah. It was a two-bedroom. So then, to make a long story short and cut to the chase, we got done with that. And Kid Rocker, though, that was a great pop band, man. I mean, you take Poison, you take Enough's Enough, you take all those bands, man. It's like the songwriter and singer we had, it was just like the material was just ungodly hooky. And it just all fell apart at the seams. Came back in '84 after starving for so long, after being in a band with CeCe DeVille and us doing Talk Dirty to Me. Came back empty-handed, didn't have the gold. My dad said, what are you going to do next? Got in DMolls, which had just formed for some rehearsals. And I said, we got to go back out to LA, man. We went out to LA. We got a record deal within 2 weeks. And that was how quick it happened. When I was 25.
Wow. That's, yeah. I know in the book, you talk a lot about about how rotten the music business can be, and how brutal it can be,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was hanging out with all the A&R guys and stuff, once you get inside the label, you turn into, you're outside the record industry and you're looking in and you're going, these people are kind of intimidating, But then once you get that deal, then you suddenly become the king and the flavor, you know what I'm saying? And then they want to bring you around and show you off the parties. And, when I was in DMolls, when we were playing, I mean, we kicked ass as soon as we got out there. Our first show was sold out. Everybody was there. Slaughter was there. Guys at Faster Pussycat, Tommy Thayer from Kiss, they were all there. They knew we were coming to town, and it was sold out. And we actually got our deal offered right after that, about a week after that. It was cutthroat after we get into the kind of the, and again, relating to the book, after you get into the deep things of what's going on within bands and somebody in our band had an ulterior motive, he always wanted to be a solo artist. So if we just had the spirit that M&R Rush had, stay together and shut up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because it's like, that's why bands like Poison made it and Warrant and all those bands, is because they had like this unity, man. There wasn't a guy in a band that was like, I think I want to be a solo artist. You can be a solo artist after you sell maybe 1 million, or 2 at the time, in the 80s. But if you're going to use a band to get to your, agenda of being a solo artist, because you're not really that good at what you're doing, you need other band members. You're not a hit songwriter on your own. So, it was kind of like, that's where everything really started to fall apart at the seams for us. There was always an ulterior motive with, someone in the band. And I'm not here to sling mud or anything like that. It was just that if we had a little bit more of a team player, I think great things would have happened to DMolls. And I don't mean that first album, because that was a really bad album, although a lot of people love that album. The second album, Warped, is the one that was golden. And it never made it out of the box because Atlantic found out that we broke up right the week it was coming out.
So there were never any press or published, or?
No, there was nothing on Warped, and it's one of our best albums, and probably one of the best albums. And I don't say this lightly, in that whole glam hair metal thing. I mean, there's some serious grooving on that album on Warped.
He lost his mind.
And that's the album when, I don't know if you remember in the book, when I went to, I saw Motley Crue and Warrant open for them. And I was in a limo with Janie Lane from Warrant, and we were driving to downtown to Excalibur after party, and I was spinning off the Warped, and he said, "You're going to be a very rich man." He goes, "These songs are freaking great." Kevin Beamish did the album for us. He did REO Speedwagon, Can't Tune a Piano, Can't Tune a Fish, the big one. So, but we went through hell getting that album because, for one, I almost got fired from the band, as you read. I won't give it away, but I know you probably remember that drama that happened.
Sure.
But here I am, started the band basically from scratch and led the way and took the, did all this great stuff with the band. And then you got somebody conspiring against you to fire you. And it's all politics, man. Going back to your original question, it's all politics, man. It's not about who's doing a bad job or who's doing it good. It's just about getting your flavor in the band. I watched Tom Petty, the documentary on Tom Petty, and Stan Lynch is one of the greatest drummers ever. And they tried to replace him because Jimmy Iovine had a hard on for him. So, he just didn't get along with them. And unquestionably, there's only one drummer for Tom Petty, and that was Stan Lynch,
So we can't find that music anywhere, huh? Can't find Warped anywhere?
Oh, you can find Warped all over the place. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely available. I mean, you can do downloads and stuff like that. I mean, it's out there. And the first album was really a tragedy because the band was so powerful live. We really had it together live. I mean, I think our band was a little bit more strong on the music side than it was on the vocal side. And although I'm not going to, bash Desi was good when he was down in the mid-range, on his vocals. He was very good, when he sings certain songs. Like there's a song called Father Time. If you look it up on YouTube, it's a smash hit, It's he sounds good down in that range. It's when he tried to get to the Stephen Perry thing that I think he got a little bit, Steven Tyler thing. I think he got a little bit drowned out because we had a nice thick bottom going on with the band. But live, the band was it was on fire live. It was great. We never had less than a sold out show in LA. I mean, there was never a show where it was like, wow, this sucks, man. There's 50 people here. It was we played with Guns N' Roses. We all split the bill and stuff like that. We were all coming up together and we were all broke. And so it's just sitting back and going, man, it's just a matter of time. But it was never about it was weird.
Was it about luck?
Pardon me?
Was it about luck too?
Well, I don't think it was about luck. I think it was about, when you're young like that and, you don't have to work, we didn't have to go out and get jobs and stuff, and we had our place paid for and we have a record deal and, we don't have to paint houses or anything. So it was it was just more or less it's going to happen, but the thing is though, it was more it was more of a weird kind of a thing. It was I played sports all my life, so I know what's being on a team is about. Let's go, guys. If we put our heads together, we can do this, I mean, we had a golden opportunity, DMolls did, and it just was thrown out the window, because it was just the ego thing, man. It was just we couldn't control, Desi, just get focused, give it some time, we're all going to do this together. Right. It was it was too much deceit going on within the whole time we were together as a band. And it sucks because it's same thing with Enough's Enough. Great band, terrible mistakes. That band made the biggest mistakes in the world, and the biggest mistake in the world will cost you your career, even if it's just one meeting or one happening. And it will do that. And they're a prime example of that, I think I'd much rather be in DMolls than be on, in Enough's Enough. be on the cover, or not in the cover, be in Rolling Stone, be on David Letterman twice, and then not have that top 40 hit. That would be more painful, I think.
We're talking today with Billy McCarthy, author, drummer from the Malls, and author of Beat Me Till I'm Famous. A great book. The book was great. And it's coming from a guy who doesn't read a whole lot. And I read the book straight through. So.
Thank you, man. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a real good book. Really good stuff.
Thank you, Ray. Oh, Ray checked it out too. Okay. Thanks, Ray. I appreciate that. And
I got my copy, Ray's got his. So.
Oh, I love it. I know. And I feel bad. I was like, I should probably send you guys this electronically because I got to order them. I self-published on this book. The first book I did was a novel. And,
Well, I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about that book. So tell us a little bit about it.
The Devil of Shakespeare.
Of Shakespeare.
Yeah, it's fiction. And, I wrote it because I always wanted to be a writer after I got out of the band and stuff like that. I since I was a little kid, I would write some stuff. So I just came up with this. I think I wrote it because I was living in Hollywood, and it's fiction, so that means it's not true.
Right.
So, my dad didn't, beat me when I was little or anything like that. I didn't have an aunt, that molested me or anything like in the book, So, I grew up in a fairly normal Irish Italian household. When I wrote, The Devil of Shakespeare, I wrote it because I remember I just got out of LA and I was living in Manhattan, and I was with Rodney Dangerfield's son. I was producing him, and we were up in Rodney's place in Manhattan because Rodney, wasn't there, but his roommate was there, the legendary Joe Ancis. He was a comedian. I lived in that place with him and Brian, and then we'd go to Westport, Connecticut. Well, anyway, to make a long story short, the OJ trial was going on. I was like, I couldn't believe it. We watched the verdict. Me, Joe Ancis. Joe, if you don't know Joe Ancis, he's a legend. He's like, Lenny Bruce, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everything that Lenny Bruce did, he took it from Joe, because him and Joe were like this. They were close, okay? So they used to hang out, and Joe would be like, hey, what's happening, Smiley? He'd call me Smiley. And he'd come upstairs, and we'd be like, what's up, Joe? And he'd be like, man, I was just down in the elevator, man, and this chick got on, and I was going to the 12th floor where we live and stuff, and, she just had to hit that button again, I said, you got to hit that button again, don't you? It's already lit, It's going to where you're going to go, But that was the kind of stuff that Joe would come up with. And I didn't know who not that much about Lenny Bruce, except that I knew him. He was a legend,
Right.
And it wasn't until Joe died and I got out of that whole situation. So we were watching the OJ trial, and I said, man, I cannot stand this shit, man. This guy killed them, and Hollywood is getting a pass. This guy's getting a pass because of Hollywood. It's such bullshit. And I think I wrote about the Devil of Shakespeare is about the whole hypocrisy within ourselves. How, it's like, it's a book that reads the reader. I'll just say that it's a thriller. There's a starting point, a middle point, and an ending point. So, it was cool. I got into the book world, and I was like, I got a huge deal. So it was great. That was a really sweet deal I got on that. And, JY did the stuff on the CD. It was the first CD to come out. He was gracious enough to play guitar on it. Janie Lane sang vocals on it, and Chip and I co-wrote the song.
Yeah, you did a song in correlation with the book, right?
Yeah, it was the first novel to ever do a song with the book, and then
the CD, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
Came with the book. Came with the book. Wow.
Yeah, but and I signed with I was on Bimbella. It was a small publisher at the time. Now they're doing every celebrity in the world. They're a really big publisher and stuff. It was a nice little comfort zone when I first started, but it was a weird thing. I was like, oh man, I can go into the book world. This is going to be so easy. I'll get a deal probably in a week. And I busted my ass, man. I spent a lot of tip money, man, to get that book deal, man. I worked my ass off for that, and finally I got it. I was waiting tables in 1998 at the Radisson Hotel. I was checking people in. As you know from the book, that one scene when that chick shows up and she's like, wow, I was just at your house and you signed my album like 10 years ago. And it was like, so really. But I put the badge on and everything. And then I got that deal. And so, when everybody always says, oh, it's my pride, I can't do that and I can't do this. It's like, screw you, man. Just, bury your pride, man. You got to do what you got to do to survive, Right now, I have my painting company. I'm not like, hey, I got a bucket, I'll come over and paint your house or something. It's a nice company. We got people that work for us and everything. And it's a great situation. And I love painting, it's like I'm a painting contractor. That's what I am,
Right.
Do I want to get back into business again? A lot of people, and particularly one of the biggest directors in Hollywood is really like in love with my book for the last 2 years. And for some reason, we meet, but we can never connect the dots to get it going, And they wanted to, he's like, man, I think we can get this on Netflix, man, because it's a great story and it relates to everybody, but I don't think about that stuff. All I think about is making money and surviving and taking care of everybody that's at the house over here where we're at. And
when did this book come out? Beat Me Till I'm Famous.
Beat Me Till I'm Famous came out in 2017.
Okay.
I originally wrote the first draft of it in 2007. And then I got sidetracked because I did a film on famous drummers called Ferocious Drummers. I produced that, which has like 20 of the most legendary drummers ever. I did a one-on-one interview. That's sitting in my closet because I can't get myself to go back up and do that dance again. You know what I'm saying? I put that Beat Me Till I'm Famous was on ice for probably 7 or 8 years. And then I finally, a good friend of mine, John Reinhardt, I'll forever be indebted to him. He said, man, I think you got to finish Beat Me Till I'm Famous because, I've read it. And John did all the cover work for the first book that I had, The Devil of Shakespeare, and I remained friends with him, which is really good. You keep your friends, as you go along and have a good rapport. And he said, I think you need to get this book out, man. And I said, okay. And I'm like, what do you want me to do, man? I'm basically, I just got out of a divorce and I'm like kind of trying to stay alive here and stuff like that. And he's like, I'll help you out because it's like you just can't write a book and put it out. You got to hire a copy editor. That book costs like thousands of dollars to put out, even though it's self-published.
Right.
But thank God Amazon has this format, that you can put your own book out. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to pay to have it put out, but you damn well better write it good, because everybody wants a writer, right? Sure. So it's a tough, man. One of the toughest books and things I ever had to do was that book was very tough. Beat Me Till I'm Famous. But something I'm very proud of, though. I mean, I would never exchange it for anything I've done creatively. I could say maybe maybe I'm an okay drummer or something like that, but that's a damn good book that I'm proud of, So.
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, coming from somebody who doesn't really read many books, and I went straight through it. So,
Thank you, man. That's nice to hear. I've had a couple of people like that have said that. That they're not really readers, and I particularly don't read a lot either, to be honest with you. Because when I was writing the books, I don't want to get swayed, but I'm not the biggest reader in the world, too. I'll be honest with you. I did read a couple of good ones though, from The Kid Stays in the Picture with Robert Evans. I like autobiographies a lot, but and of course George Orwell and
well, you mentioned Joe and you mentioned Lenny Bruce and of course Rodney, and you did some comedy work yourself, right?
I did. I thought
it was kind of in the book the way you explained how you got into that, and I mean just kind of started writing jokes, right? And
I was with Rodney's kid Brian, and we were producing his music, and he just got this big amount of money from Rodney because Rodney got married to, his young, hot wife, and Rodney. And, up until then, Brian was on a minimal salary, and we were just struggling. Like he came to Chicago and Jeff produced Brian's first song. Jeff Loof produced it over at Star Trek's
right.
Harbor which we got in the Viacom picture. So I remember I was with Brian, and I was like, Brian, I go, we were in Austin, Texas, and we were playing, and I was producing them, and we were playing with some great cats, man. My best friend at the time, who I didn't know, but we just became like best friends within like a matter of weeks. Ron Flint from 2020, great pop band. I don't know if you know them.
Sure.
Humongous pop band, like one of the biggest, like in the late 70s with the Bangles and all those, that group that came up there. So I said, man, I go, we're dogging it, man. I go, look, Brian, I love doing this music, but I go, we got to do more, man. You got to put the pedal to the metal. And he's like, I will, man. And like, meanwhile, Rodney just dumped a few million in his bank account, So it was like, wow, now he's starting to get a little lazy, and he wasn't as hungry anymore. So I said, fuck this. I said, I'm going to start writing some jokes. So I started writing these jokes, and, and we even passed a few of them on to Rodney. I think I wrote the first 7 for Rodney, stuff like, I went to the animal shelter today. I had to call my wife to bail me out, I showed my wife her burial plot, and she looked at me and said, my burial plot. And she looked at me and said, great, when can I start digging? I get no respect.
Yeah.
And so we sent him to Rodney. He's like, yeah, man, I got the jokes from Billy. Yeah, they're good, man. Listen, I'm eating a cheese sandwich. I'll call you back. So, so Brian and I told Brian, I go, I'm going to do the stand up, and I felt kind of funny because I was like, your dad's a comedian, and like, he didn't really have a good rapport with Pops, So I started doing comedy at this. I went to this work gym. It was called the Comedy Gym. It was fucking great, man. It was like we just like 9 of us, just 10 of us, 12 of us, just all got together on a Sunday, and we had a great coach, Sam Cox from Austin, Texas, and he would go over our jokes. And next thing you know, man, like within 6 weeks, I'm up in front of 300 people, man, at the Comedy Store in Austin, Texas. And I'm doing like, I was like the slacker musician who didn't want to work. I just woke up today. I got in a fight with my girlfriend. She looked at me and said, why don't you get a job? And I said, me get a job? Then who's going to drive you to work? And, I was like the slacker musician, I had some good jokes, off the news and everything. Then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm going to be a comedian. So Brian says, he comes to me, he says, I can't do music anymore, man. I got stage fright. And I'm like, oh, whatever, dude. I knew this was coming. So it was a shame, though, because I honestly,
that's a shame. Yeah.
He was trying to be the next like Don Henley. I swear to God.
Yeah. If he could write music that well, he couldn't play it in front of people, huh?
Oh, he was just, he was just a genius. Like made John Mayer look like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Was like right in that realm, man.
Wow.
Tom Petty meets Don Henley in a blender.
Your picture lays upon my bed. Your face in flames inside my head. Yes, spiders web you spin like a loaded gun aimed at the sun. And though it shines so new.
And really disappointing. And I have all the tapes that we did. I have about 12 songs. So anyway, next thing you know, I'm going to LA, man, because Brian wants to shut the music down. So I'm going to LA. Now I'm a comedian out there. I remember I went to LA with like $6,000 in my pocket. And I remember when I got out there for comedy, I was doing the Laugh Factory, and it was cool. I ran into some cats out there, some pretty big cats. And I was doing the same thing. I was in front of like, wow, I'm in front of 400 people, at 6 o'clock in the evening at the Laugh Factory. And then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I got like $400 left to my name now. I've been out here for 3 weeks. How the hell did that happen? Right. And, I just like blew through all my money. I mean, I hooked up with some chick, and like she had some place that she was paying $1,800 a month. And I was never the guy that was like, hey man, can I crash in your couch, honey? I was never that guy. I know a lot of people think that. I was never that guy. Can you feed me? Can you do this? Can you take care of me? I always paid my own way. So I had to pay $900 for rent. You know what I'm saying? Then I got sick of her. And then the comedy I came back and I said, you know what? This ain't really happening anymore. I'm not into this comedy thing. And that's when I started writing The Devil of Shakespeare.
And you get back into painting.
Painting is something that I always did since I was 16. So I just, I remember doing waiting on tables and then doing the painting in between. And it was like just making so many mistakes when I was so young, and like trying to get these guys to show up for jobs and these people from Blue Island. Hey, we paint my house. I would do stupid things like paint a whole house outside for like $900 or something, because I was living with mom in 1998 when I got back. So I remember it was like, but you know what? Like I said, it's like it taught me a lot though, like dealing with people and how to actually do this business. So that was that. Yeah, that was that. And it was fun. And, like I said, it's just one thing after another. And now it's like I'm in a time right now where, it's a shame that I got that drummer film in my closet. I've got the biggest drummers in the world, Steve Jordan, Carmine Appice, all of them on film. And
I watched a couple of the trailers on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
And I know you got some big names. Yeah.
Yeah.
Questlove. Yeah.
Yeah, Questlove is funny. Like Questlove came in and I'm like, who's this cat?
Yeah.
And my producer was like, just interview him, man. He's going to be big, I go, all right, whatever you think. Freaking roots. I never heard of him, So then I interviewed him and that was that. And I don't know. Maybe it's the timing or something like that. Like A&E was like, boom, hey, we love this, man. We can do it. And then boom, here come the Kardashians, We're reality television. And, nobody wants to listen to this shit now, talk about drummers. Right. So,
I'm surprised it never took off because, I mean, there's been movies about drummers and
I know. Well, it's the other thing too, is that, it's like, and again, Paul, like going back to your initial question, it is a bullshit game, man, in Hollywood. I had so many bullshit artists come along, even, on Ferocious Drummers, just so many cats that were like, man, I can make this happen. We can do this. We can do that. And then they'd write up this bullshit contract. This is 90% mine. Here's 10 for you. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I'm the guy that's got 150 grand in this freaking film. Okay. Which I do.
Yeah.
Literally cold cash. And I got that. And then, I got all these hours, relentless hours. And it's weird. When I did the drummer film, I only told the drummers, I was talking to some of the biggest drummers in the world, on the phone. Right. Like, God, talking to Simon Kirk, in my backyard in Palos Heights and talking to Max Weinberg. So you're kind of like, everybody's coming at you with all this stuff and like, oh yeah, we're going to make this happen. And then it just gets to the point where it's like, man, I am just so burnt out on bullshit, dudes, and like, I'm the biggest guy in the world. Like, let's do this, what can we do? How do we do this? So, we have a joke between me and my, couple of friends and stuff. We always say, the drummer film's going on like, I don't know, 12 years now, maybe like be more of a legendary legacy piece to go off of. But when I did it, I just told the drummers, I didn't say, hey, I was in this band DMolls, because I was like, that's fucking bad luck. I'm not even going to bring my name up. I'm just going to tell them I was a drummer on Atlantic Records, and if they want to Google us, they can Google me, So, and it's hard too, because like I was out of like the whole, the whole Hollywood bullshit. So it's like, my name was Billy Dior, right?
Right.
And I call people and it's like, who's calling, please? And I'm like, trying to call my ex roadie, who's like the VP of a label right now. And I'm like, Billy McCarthy, tell him it's Billy Dior. And it's like, she's all confused. Like, and this is in regards to, I'm like, just get him on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, LA is just, it's so bad. It's like 10 times worse right now, though. I really don't have any desire to enter into that jungle, although I did just sign with an agent like 3 months ago. Go ahead.
Well, there's records. The record companies don't sign bands like they used to. I mean, that is gone by the wayside.
They don't sign bands at all. I mean, if you guys like I don't know if you guys wanted a major record deal. You probably didn't because you guys were pretty stable. I can't see you guys out in LA, M&R Rush when you guys are 26, like eating ramen noodles. You guys all had wives and girlfriends and stuff like that. But I was like amazed when I went out to LA and when we went back in 85, it's like, that's when it really started. 86, it started pouring on big time. And that's when I was like, I can't believe nobody's out here, man. You can come out here and get a record deal in 48 hours if you're a pretty decent band.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not kidding you. There was like this little playground circle, like the size of like Tinley Park and Oak Forest put together. And it was like every band that was in there, you knew there was only like 5 big gun bands in there, man, that were like, can actually like chop it out and play good, So it was like, they were just handing record deals out, left and right, and, a lot of them were real shitty, but a lot of people didn't get signed that were really great too. But, I remember calling the label with, calling my A&R guy, and Chip was on the other line. Chip's Enough. And I said, just be quiet. I'm going to call him right now. And I said, so what'd you think of that Enough's Enough tape? And he was on 3-way with my A&R guy. And he goes, I don't hear it, Billy. I go, you don't hear what? He goes, after we had our deal, DMolls.
Right.
He said, I don't hear any tunes. I go, you don't hear any tunes from Enough's Enough? I go, are you crazy? I go, Nick, you couldn't hear a train wreck if it came through your wall, man. I said, these guys are great, Yeah. He goes, I don't hear it, Billy. And they eventually got signed by Atco, which was upstairs, and things happened.
Well, I know we got told we should be more like a flock of seagulls.
Oh, you guys were told that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
I'm like, okay, that's not what we do,
I don't know, man. It's just, and I don't know. It's just like when you guys came on stage, it was like this, the whole thing. It was like, you had, just everything going on. You know what I mean? It was like it was a bigger than life band, And then like I was totally obsolete, not because it was like, oh, screw you guys. We don't care what you guys are doing. I had no idea what was going on in Chicago from like 84 or 81 actually until like 89. I didn't have any idea what was going on in Chicago. I mean, like we were just like, I was just jumping from like the one band to the other. And then, I was in that band briefly with CeCe DeVille. We were in a band called Screaming Mimi. And then he left. And he took Talk Dirty to Me with him, and the rest is history with Poison. But, it's pretty funny. I was actually the first drummer to play that song, and I remember when we used to get done with rehearsal and it would be like, well, what do you want to do now? And it'd be like, well, let's do Talk Dirty to Me and then go home,
If anybody doesn't know about DMolls, that you guys wore women's clothing or women's lingerie. How did explain to us why and how did that came about?
Yeah, it was weird. It was like Desi and I, we had a couple of rounds before we got, I went into DMolls. We had a couple of, rounds. Like he was in Kid Rocker for a while. He was one of the guitar players. It's pretty funny. Along with, Rodney Youngkins and who the hell else knows, was in that band. Probably Nils Lofgren, whatever. And we just didn't know. I'm just kidding. But so Desi was, he was a guitar player in Kid Rocker. And then, I remember it was, I was talking to Chip and he's like, well, Desi's in town too. And I go, oh, really? What the fuck's he doing? Can I say fuck on here? By the way?
Sure.
Oh, sure.
Okay. I don't want to sound like Dave Grohl, but anyway, so I go, he goes, Desi's in town too. And I just got back from LA and with CeCe, like we were done with Screaming Memes. I was like, you know what, dude, I love you. He's like, I love you too, man. And we just said, we can't find a singer, man. So we had to split up, I said, I'll see you later. That was when I was playing with Izzy Stradlin from Guns N' Roses right before for like 3 weeks. I was in a band with him. And I was like, I always wonder, like, if I would have just stuck it out, and stuck with him, I might have been in GNR. Who knows? But that's another story. So anyway, so Desi comes and he shows up in Calumet Park, and he's really fucking flamboyant. He's got the blonde hair, and he's like, "What's happening, Daddy-O?" With his, swankiness, And I'm like, "What's going on with you?" And he just had a shitload of money. Well, his dad passed away. And I'm really sorry about that. But I mean, he was taking over some buildings or something like that. Anyway, he had a Cadillac and he had a lot of money. He would pull over all the time. He's like, so I got this band.
Which it wasn't Desi at the time, right?
Pardon me?
He wasn't Desi at the time, right?
No, he was. He was Desi. Yeah, he was Desi Rex. Yeah, I think he was Desi Rex. He wasn't Dwayne, that's for sure. So, but anyway, he's like, I got this band, and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, well, I'll come to rehearsal with you, I think he knew that, I was out in LA with him, and he promised me to go to LA, and then screwed me over, and I made it out there on my own. As actually was recruited. So I think he knew, Billy's got some game going on, and I had a little bit. So if we put our shit together, we can make something happen here. So we went out for pizza that night. I remember it. And I said, I'll come down to rehearsal. And I went down to rehearsal, and I saw the band, and Lizzie was there, the bass player. He was just incredible. He was like 18 years old or 17. I don't know, just fucking really good, like a great bass player. He's like, hey, I know you, man. He goes, I heard all about you. And he loved Kid Rocker. A couple people in Chicago knew about Kid Rocker, because they heard all the buzz and stuff like back here. So anyway, we got together, and I told Desi, I go, I think the band's really good. I go, you kind of sound like Aerosmith. And I didn't tell him I fucking hate Aerosmith. I'm not really a fan of Aerosmith. I got to be honest with you. I'll take Cheap Trick and the Raspberries any day. So anyway, I was like, your band's good, man. I go, what are you guys going to do? He goes, well, I think we're going to do this and that and this and that and this and that. I said, well, you need me in the band if you're going to do that. I go, because I can make it fucking happen, And he's like, you can, huh? I go, yeah. I go, your drummer's a nice guy. I go, but, you need to get rid of him, because you need to put something in with fire, we need to make this thing blow up. So anyway, we got the ball rolling, and it was just, making phone calls, getting everything going on, and then next thing you know, we said, we're going to rehearse really hard, and we're going to play the Limelight. So we played the Limelight. I made some phone calls. I was acting like I was a road manager, Billy McCarthy. You should hear these guys. They got this drummer named Billy Dior and this guy Desi, and everybody was buying into all this bullshit on the phone that I was doing, right? Even Ken Animated from Cheap Trick, I called him up.
He's like, you can't promote yourself. You can't promote yourself, right? I mean, who can promote, right?
I remember talking to Ken, and I'm like, yeah. I go, you got to hear this band. I go, yeah. I go, this is Billy. I go, Billy McCarthy, the road manager for this band, DMolls. He goes, send me a tape. Send me a tape. I go, I'm not sending you a tape. He goes, send me a tape. I got to go. And he hung up on me. And Ken and I would become pretty good friends, 5 years later, and he'd manage me for a little bit. So we got the band together, and then we said, we did the Limelight, and it was sold out. It was 1,600 people, because we were wearing the women's. That's what I told them. I go, what's up with this women's lingerie? I go, you know what? It's pretty freaking crazy, How about if I wear a suit though with a tie, and then you guys can wear the lingerie, because I'm the drummer in the back. And they're like, that's not going to work. And I'm like, it's not, because I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me. I came from a tough neighborhood, right? Yeah. And they're like, just put the lingerie on. So I put the lingerie on. And like I said in the book, we didn't parade around downtown. We only wore the lingerie because DMolls was a gangster's mistress. Okay. Right. That was a slang back in the roaring 20s. During the gangster era. So DMolls, Desi stole that from the Thumbs,
Right.
the Bears.
The Bears.
So we called it DMolls. And I remember my dad, he was Irish, and he's like, and Lizzie's like, yeah, you should check out our band. We wear dresses and shit, Mr. McCarthy. My dad's like, what? He goes, you're a fruitcake, And so anyway, that's what happened, man. It was like a shock value. But then, like I said, it was kind of weird, because it was like, okay, this is kind of a cool, shocking kind of thing to do. But
and people expected it.
What
People
high
probably
school
expected it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but you know who dug it? Chicks.
Yeah.
We did it out in LA. When we got to LA, it was like, whoa, look at these fucking guys, man, because I mean, we sounded great. I mean, we were like more androgynous than the New York Dolls. We played 10 times better than them. They couldn't play their fucking instruments to save. I'm sorry. But, we were really, really good performers. And that's why the people down at the studio where we used to rehearse at downtown, I forgot the name of it, Don and somebody else. It was a famous studio downtown. They said, you guys got to take that dress shit off because you guys sound really good. You guys are a really good band. You got that swankiness like Aerosmith, And so if you think about it, then it became a factor. It was like we actually had a problem. We had too many chicks at our gig in LA. We had too many chicks showing up. And it was like it started to register. What fucking high school kid's gonna go home and be like, I gotta go see this band in drag that wears dresses? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not sexy, right? That ain't cool, right?
Right.
So then we just stripped it all down. We dropped the lingerie. It was really uncomfortable. We only did 3 shows or 4 shows with the lingerie.
Oh, okay.
And we would jump out of a limo. We had a robe on like boxers. We'd go through the crowd. And then we'd get off stage, jump back in the limo, go to our street clothes, and go in the club, and drink up and think that we're just like fucking Kiss. You know what I mean? Nobody knows who we are.
Yeah.
We just got done playing next door at Gazzari's and the Roxy and this and that. But it was like it worked, man. It worked. The buzz worked really hard. But it was one of those things where our manager, God bless him, Jerry Tallman, my late manager, he managed Crosby, Stills, Nash. He said, come on, guys. He goes, just drop the lingerie shit, man. Be a rock band, And we did. And it was much better. It was much more comfortable. But then as soon as we did that shit, it was like just fucking dirty, nasty shit started happening within the band, just finding out all this disloyalty and stuff like that. And it was just like, again, I don't want to be a pisser or anything like that. It was just like, I think we thought we were too fucking good that it was just going to happen, regardless. I mean, we broke up before our first album came out. The masters were done. We should have got dumped. Atlantic should have said, fuck you guys, man. Right. You guys are not a headache. You guys got an album out of us for like $150,000. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to sit here and bitch and get in a fight. Because, Desi wanted to kick me out. And then the other 2 guys said, he wants to kick you out, but we want to kick him out. So fuck him. So then it was a Polish standoff, as they say, right? And he was rehearsing in one room with 3 guys, Mick Sweeter from the Bullet Boys was in there playing with him, and who would be in the Bullet Boys a year later. And then we'd go in there with our band and we'd start auditioning all these fucking weirdos that would come down and try to sing DMolls songs, and it just wasn't working. And it was finally like, we just loved each other so much. We hated each other. But that anger was that thing that when we were on stage, it just fucking blew up, and nobody got to see that because we only played in Chicago twice, 2 times at the Riviera and then once at the Limelight. So, and we played the Thirsty Whale too for a weekend for 2 days. And that was it.
Now, before the Limelight show, you said that's your first show. You guys had a lot of notoriety prior to that.
No, they did a gig down at the Cubby Bear, maybe, it wasn't anything like not that kind of notoriety. There was like a little buzz going on. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was a little buzz, but it was very tiny. They did a gig over at Haywire's and it turned out to be okay. But the thing that blew the gig up at the Limelight though, Ray, was we went to Ed Vavek's. We had our thing going on where we were all dressed up in our street clothes and we'd go to Rush Street. And it's true, everything that I put in that book, we would sit down and we'd be all dialed up and we look like Hanoi Rocks meets Motley Crue in street clothes, and people would say, where you guys from? And we'd say LA, and it'd be like, wow. And I swear on my dad's grave, there was 150 to 200 people packed up against our thing, passing napkins over. And we didn't tell them we were Motley Crue. We just said we're DMolls. And they're like, the who? And and we would sign autographs and literally had to go out the back door and we'd go to Faces. We had a lot of pre-hype stuff going on.
Mhm.
And then we went to WLS at the Bevics, and somebody was there. I think it was Larry Lujek, or not one of those guys that was really big in the
Tommy Edwards.
Tommy Edwards.
yeah, you know those guys in the middle 80s, and we got on air. And we said, hey, we're playing the Limelight. And it was huge. Back then, if you said something on WLS like that,
Yeah, it was gospel.
Yeah. You know? So we went out there, and there must have been about, I would say easily about 100 people from Calumet Park were there, So, we had good loyalty there on the South Side. But then after we got done with that gig, we made a decision before. I said, listen, we're going to go out to LA after this gig. We can sit around, guys, and we can be big fish. We can go downtown and play another gig, and everybody could be all happy. I say we leave it right now. Let's go. Let's go out to LA. We're going to get a deal. Sure enough, we got out to LA. We did our demo, and while we were in the studio mixing down the demo, Sean and I went next door to a bar, picked up 2 chicks, brought them back, and they happened to be with the A&R guy who was with them, and he came out of the bathroom after doing, I don't know, some blow or something like that, and they said, well, the girls you are with went next door to Westlake Studio. So he comes barging in. He's like, let's go. And then Desi said, hey, you want to hear our shit, man? He's like, fuck you. I don't, And then boom, all of a sudden it came over the loudspeakers, and it just blew the shit out of him. And he started lighting up a cigarette and walking around. He's like, what's the name of your band? Blah, 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 blah. And then one thing led to another. But we didn't sign a deal until 6 months later. But, and then we started, other companies started courting us.
You get into pretty good detail in the book. Of course, we're talking with Billy McCarthy from Beat Me Till I'm Famous, a book about the DMolls and about the record business and in the 80s in LA and Hollywood. And you get into pretty good detail. How do you remember some of those names? And I mean, did you take a journal at the time or no?
No, I didn't. It was weird.
Because I thought I couldn't do that. I don't remember, who I met yesterday, what I had for lunch,
I know, me neither. Right. Exactly. I do that shit all the time,
Wait a minute, I didn't have lunch today.
But no, I have this, it was like a weird, strange thing. I mean, like, Desi and I would, we were brothers, I love the guy. I mean, in a sense, it's like I don't hate him or anything like that. But like he used to always tell me, man, fucking Billy, you always remember shit from like so many years ago, before the book, of course, And I have an uncanny ability to do that, which is weird, And I just remembered like everything like that happens, like the sequence of events that happened in the book. But yeah, that whole memory thing is, it was. I knew the events really well. Yeah, I really do. Lizzie will call me up all the time, my bass player. I still talk to Lizzie on a regular basis, and he'll say stuff like, hey, you remember that time when we, there was a cat that came in the room and then the dog chased, and I'm like, that never happened. He's like, you don't remember that? I go, no, I don't remember that. Like I don't remember like certain things that other people remember, but no, everything that I put in the book is basically, how it all went down. It basically just all went down like that. It was quite a time, man. There'll never be another time like that.
So if we include some of the Malls music, what would you want to hear?
I would definitely. There's so many tracks off of Warped that I love. I like My Life. I like Down to Nothing. I like The Answer. The Answer is a real funk kind of a groove, like it's got a really good pocket in it. And I think, the gem was, and Desi wrote this all by himself. I got to give him credit for that. He wrote This Time It's Love. And, that was a hit. It was a ballad. It was one of those sappy ballads, about loving everybody.
Every band needs a sappy ballad, though. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and then I think like that's the other thing that happened with the band, though. I mean, in defense of the fact that we all fought and everything like brothers, and it was like a brother fight thing too, the Atlantic Records just picked the wrong single, man. 777 is just such bullshit. I remember we came back from lunch and I was like, I got an idea, man, and I wrote the freaking song, and I can't, it's the biggest mistake I probably ever made, because I wanted it to be like Queen meets Billy Squier. And it came out like really funky shit, and Doug Morris, the president of Atlantic, was like, I got to have this song. It's going to work. Watch, and it fucking tanked so hard,
Yeah, it was.
And it was nothing about what we were about. If we would have released Rally Baby from the first album, or The Stroll, which still gets played on Sirius, radio, they still play it. I mean, I'm driving down the street, the other day, and I'm, boom, The Stroll's on, it's no big fucking deal though. I don't really care, but it's like, we're still like, in that kind of a genre thing, but we're pretty much like underrated. I mean, as far as the 80s go, and like when they mention all the glam bands and everything, I'm always like kind of in the back of my mind, like, okay, so you're going to talk about Pretty Boy Floyd and all these fuck bands, and it's like, but nobody talks about DMolls, who set the bar. We were the first band to ever sell out when we got to LA, and we continued doing it, but we still get respect from like, the Faster Pussycats and stuff. They're cool cats, like we still, we're still in that circle. But I always thought DMolls always got the short end of it, because we were so, what do you call that? Obscure. Like we stayed within, we didn't really over socialize. We kind of put like a box around us on purpose, because we wanted that mystique. We didn't want to be like, we weren't like egotistical monsters. Like, we don't want to hang out with you. It was more or less like, we got to keep this mystique, like we had it down to a science. Like when we got up, 4 of us would walk in a club together. 2 of us would go to the bathroom. The other 2 stay seated, don't let anybody sit in between you. It was down to a science. I got all of that from Bill LaCoin, who managed Kiss. He taught me how to be like, if you want to be a fucking star, this is the way you got to do it as a band, and you're going to have the biggest impact. So we did it, and it didn't work.
Well, you come pretty darn close, though.
Pardon me?
You came pretty close.
Yeah, we came pretty close. It wasn't bad. And
so, are any of the other band members still playing with anybody? Or?
Well, yeah, it's ironic you said that, because they got Desi as a band with some guys, and they call it DMolls. And we wish that they wouldn't call it DMolls. And when I say we, me and Lizzie. Lizzie owns a copyright to it, so he could technically slam anybody out that wants to use the name. I don't know if he is or not, but yeah, there. Desi plays his gig under DMolls. I wish he wouldn't do that. I really despise people who do that. Like,
where's he playing at? In Chicago or around?
No, they're playing the Whiskey a Go Go in August. And which is fine. It's like they're not going to sell it out probably. They won't even come close to it actually, because like we used to do. But I know he wants to play. I just wish you'd call it Desi Rex in a solo band or whatever, because it's not representative of DMolls whatsoever. I mean, yeah, they make it through the songs and everything, but DMolls was a special kind of a band that like only the 4 of us could really make it happen, man. It's like, it's just one of those things,
And once you have that bond, and it's something that stays with you forever. Sure.
I would just like Desi to respect the whole thing about DMolls, because it's like we were unique in a sense that we weren't one of those bands where like we struggled along and everything. It's like we got to LA and pow, that was it, and it kept going, and it was really strong until the end. It's only when we went on tour, actually, we didn't have any support, that we did like some weird gigs, like I remember playing Cincinnati in front of 14 people, and Warrant was there opening for us, so it was weird. There was some weird things there, but LA was ours, for the taking. There was nobody that outplayed us or anything like that. And I'm not trying to be braggadocious or anything like that, but we had a really good, solid freaking band.
You still got your drums set up somewhere?
I got him, man. I got him set up. It's called McCarthy Road, and I get like we do the best of like we do deep cuts. We do like Petty, Leave Virginia Alone. We do Cabin Down the Road. We do Paul McCartney. We do the Wilburys. And we play out like twice a year. That's it. That's probably like at the most twice a year, probably once a year. But I'll tell you, man, when we play though, it's an event. Like we just we only play Blarney Stone. That's our favorite venue.
I know,
I'd love to do with you guys. Hopefully we can cross paths and do that. But we have a 9-piece band, 3 singers, just a bunch of the best musicians that I can get. We want to do the what do you call it? The organic stuff. We do that. Because it's like the stuff you guys are doing. It's so much rehearsing. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of parts. This stuff is more organic, and it's like it's got an acoustic bed to it. We have special people come up and play and stuff and sing, and it's a good time. We did a gig in November at Blarney Stone. It was really good, and we all got COVID afterwards.
Yeah,
we did.
You have anything planned? And any gig planned right now, or?
No, I usually just wait around, like probably April or something to start putting something out there. We were playing a lot with Sean and Charlie. All the gigs, the last 3 gigs in the last 2 years that we did was with Sean and Charlie. Those guys are fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Couple of great guys, and we really mesh well together. Our set with theirs, and just the nicest guys in the world, man. And
well, how do we find you on Facebook or on
Got a
you have a website or anything? Or?
I don't have a website. I've got I've got 3 pages. I've got McCarthy Painting up there on one page on Facebook. That's really sexy. Don't get all. And then I've got I got Beat Me Till I'm Famous. That's my one page. You can get the book Beat Me Till I'm Famous on Amazon. I just lowered the hell out of the discount. I think I don't really make that much money off it. And I didn't put it out to make money, So I got Beat Me Till I'm Famous is on Facebook, the painting page, and my personal page, which I'm always into having people, be on my personal page. It's no big deal. I mean, I already spilled my guts. Everybody knows everything about me already. I don't know why the hell I would even write a book sometimes, I think, and let everybody know all the bullshit mistakes I made when I was younger, You know what I'm saying? How freaking, terrible I was to,
well, you're speaking words of wisdom to the younger generation, right? Don't do what I did, right?
Yeah, that's what I was doing, man. I was just trying. No, honestly, I mean, I did when I did write the book to give people some hope, man, and say like, man, just because you didn't make it, man, but you know what? Don't be angry about it, man. Look what I did, and I started my ass off, and I still didn't make it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's why I wrote it. It wasn't about like, I'm going to write about me and tell you how interesting my life is. I wrote it to where if you're from Chicago, you can actually relate to the book because you know most of the people in there, and it takes you on this journey from small town America, which it was Calumet Park, right into the big shit of like LA, and that's all it was meant to do. And at the time when I was doing it, man, it was like I had no idea what the hell was going on. It was just like this is just supposed to happen, man, And it's gonna fucking happen, man, right? And you're like, fuck, it didn't happen, And then you get tired.
Not without trying, though. Not without trying, right?
Yeah, not without trying. You're right. So yeah, that's what it is. And the book's doing well on Amazon. It was a 100 bestseller when it came out. It was a top 100 on autobiography for about a couple of days. We still get the 100 though. You still get the top 100.
Yeah.
And it's doing good now. So I'm just grateful to still be here.
Well, the book is called Beat Me Till I'm Famous. Your second book, your first book was Devil of Shakespeare, which I'll have to pick up now and read that. And
there's a lot of vile stuff in that book, but yeah, thank you. So it's all good,
Well, we appreciate you joining us today, Billy, and talking with us and spilling your guts.
Hey man, it's been a delightful interview. I really, really appreciate it. I don't do these, by the way. This is the first one I've done in like probably 3 years,
Well, we're the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast, and we talk to rock and rollers and band members and musicians from the Chicago area, and you obviously fit that bill. So,
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, guys.
thanks, Billy.
Thanks, Billy.
All right, thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
So that was Billy McCarthy of DMolls and the author of "Beat Me Till I'm Famous." You found out he's also a comedian, a producer. He produced some records for some songs for some other people, and
He's
and
got
also
that documentary about
and
with
that
the drummers.
documentary. But yeah, it still hasn't come out yet. But hopefully he gets that out soon. I'd love to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we'll have to sit him down and see what we could do to
Yeah,
get him to put it out.
get Netflix involved with that. I think.
That'd be awesome. It sounds like it'd be an awesome movie.
Yeah.
But he apparently he doesn't care for ramen noodles anymore. But
I'm
back
sure
then,
his head is full of them.
I'm sure. I mean, come on, those things were 10 cents a pack
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, and they'd
I
fill
think
you
they're
up.
still only 10 cents a pack.
They might be. I haven't had any in a long time, but I remember eating those things and they'd fill you up.
Yeah.
It's all you wanted, something in your stomach.
Yep.
So some great stories.
Yes, they were. Yes, he does. He's got some great stories. And the book, I can't recommend enough people to get out there and get Beat Me Till I'm Famous, the story of a drummer in Chicago who moved to LA and talks about the music business. Every musician should read this book as well.
Yeah, especially if you're from Chicago. I read the book. Paul even read the book, and Paul doesn't usually read.
No, I don't.
So
I like
he's
short
read it.
stories, like
Reader's
something I can
Digest?
read in 5 minutes. What?
Reader's Digest.
Yeah, the Reader's Digest versions.
Yeah.
But I read the book and it's great, and I recommend you get out there to get "Beat Me Till I'm Famous" by Billy McCarthy.
Sounds good to me. Get it on Amazon.
That's right. We want to thank Billy for joining us, and we had some fun with Billy. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, we should figure out how many drummers we've actually talked to.
Yeah, we've talked to a lot of drummers.
Quite a few. We lean towards drummers. I don't know why. Maybe because they never say anything. They're always in the back quietly beating their drums, but they have a lot to say.
They do have a lot to say. We've talked to quite a few drummers.
Some of them had to have two parts.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Rock and Roll Podcast, Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast.com.
All right. I'll do that. I'll check you out.
All right.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. See you later.
The Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast does not own the rights to any of the music that's played on this podcast.
The music is used to promote the band or musicians that are interviewed.
Chicago.